My guest at this time is a former WWE superstar, former New Japan Pro Wrestling superstar, current Impact Wrestling superstar, the owner of Larry Otto Pro Wrestling. It's the big LG, Luke Gallows. Luke, what do you want me to call you? Luke? Is that fine?
You can call me the big LG, Doc Gallows.
Doc Gallows. All right, I'll call you Doc. By the way, I was looking down. I have LG on my air conditioner remote by my desk.
Oh,
I thought it was Kismet, you know. So
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I got to get some stock in that LG brand for sure.
There's probably some money and some trademarks there. I think you know a thing or two about those.
I sure do lately.
So anyway, let's dive on in here. I only have you for so much time. August 1st, Talkn'ShopAMania. What can fans expect from this event?
This event was a brainchild of mine that I kind of I talked Rocky and Carl into doing it. It was something that basically when we got released, I wanted to it was creative expression. It's all the stuff that we thought was funny. It's a wrestling parody. If you enjoy that, if you have a sense of humor, if you listen to our podcast, if you get our sense of humor, I think you're going to really enjoy it. The main event being a boner yard match pitting Chad Too Bad against his longtime tag team partner of 35 plus years, Sex Ferguson.
Sure.
But you know what was so fun in the making of that were all the cameos. I mean, there are cameos from every decade of wrestling that I've been alive for in that thing, and it was a lot of fun putting that together. A lot of great people came out and supported it, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. If you don't get it, I apologize. If you do, I think you're going to enjoy the hell out of it.
How is it going to look kind of like with the Hardy compound stuff? I mean, like the vibe I get is this seems like Matt Hardy-esque in the way it might be presented.
Well, I said that somewhere publicly recently. Like, we can all thank the cinematic wrestling match. We can all thank Matt Hardy. He came up with that. He did it first. He set the precedent. So I think this is the first one that's a kind of a parody of something that had already been done.
Yeah.
We love Matt. He's just working in a different company. We would have loved to have had a cameo with him, which we ended up discussing, but it never actually came to fruition because we don't want to put anybody in a bad position or anything like that. But he's been fully supportive of all this. And the actual boner yard, it was at night. It was on my property. We have a full grave site. There's a hearse. There's a coffin. There are our version of druids, which you'll have to see to believe.
Right.
But there's all kinds of fun stuff in there. And the rest of it was basically filmed in my home and in my backyard. There's a lot of crazy stuff. And like I said, I mean, from Cabo Guerrero to the Rock and Roll Express to, Heath, to Brian Myers, to Swoggle, all these awesome characters that kind of stepped out of what they would normally do or what you would normally see them do in a serious television wrestling realm, to come out and jump into our world and have a little bit of fun, which ended up being a ton of fun.
Sure.
And I think any of them that you ask over the next couple of weeks before this thing airs will tell you that we had a hell of a good time making it. So
obviously the Boneyard match, man, is like the standard for these cinematic matches and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody loved it. And you guys were a part of it, and everybody loves you guys. But like, how does AJ feel about you guys doing this kind of parody style of it? I would imagine that match with Undertaker meant a lot to him.
It did mean a lot to him. It meant a lot to Undertaker. It meant a lot to us. But AJ also gets us. He's always gotten us and our sense of humor. And he may not always agree with it, but he's fully supportive. Right. He jumped onto our Patreon on Friday night. Only our Patreon people really know that. But he wanted to come on, and I'm not going to go and do a deep dive on it because it's already been done. You can go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TalknShopPodcast. You can see the deep dive on the WWE stuff and us leaving and everything like that. But
right.
AJ was fully supportive, and as has been reported, so not to beat a dead horse, we spoke and said our feelings on Paul Heyman, but AJ understands that we're having fun. We even put a disclaimer at the beginning of this thing like, hey, don't be offended by what you see here. Have fun and laugh along. It's lighthearted. It's meant to be a good time, and it is. There's a lot of colorful language. There's a lot of insider jokes, insider shit being said, but it's all with a big wink. So, and that's that. We needed something like that. We needed to do something creatively that was more lighthearted, especially before we step back into, television wrestling and Impact Wrestling. And I think that, we gave each other a shot in the arm as far as their brand and our brand coming together. I think that the Saturday night proved that. We had people from every major wrestling company, friends of ours, coworkers, former coworkers reaching out.
Yeah.
And we knew that we needed to turn it up and get serious when we made this move and made this debut. So we wanted to make this parody deal before that. So you'll see that on August 1st. You know, as you've already seen Slammiversary, hopefully you tune in tonight, Impact on Access, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you'll see our first in-ring appearance for Impact. But
Nice.
yeah, so this was cool, and it's a creative liberty that I've never had before, that we've never had before, because Impact's fully on board with promoting Talkn'ShopAMania. They're fully on board with co-promoting my Larry Otto Pro shows, which will be available on the Impact Plus app, which has every pay-per-view in Impact history, all kinds of bonus content, independent stuff. So it's a good challenge for me to when the world, especially when the world opens back up, to really beef up these shows that I've been running for years and deliver a good product there, because they'll be available on that streaming app. So I think it's a great time for both brands to grow and to grow with each other. And man, it was a great vibe. I know that this wasn't even part of the question you asked, but I just came off of, you know, Slammiversary and doing some tapings, and we had a blast. So it's a lot to look forward to. Wrestling's gotten fun again, which is exciting.
Awesome, man. And real quickly here before, because I'm going to pepper you with one or two more Impact questions, but
Sure.
just to put a pin on the Boneyard stuff, you know, you were on set there with AJ and Taker and everything. What do you think? Do you think that was genuinely the last match for the Undertaker, or do you think he's got one more in him?
And I don't know. You know, I after seeing him there and seeing how tough and how hard he is, he definitely has one more in him.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we early on in the shoot, he goes to throw that back fist, and his arm goes through the freaking window.
Yeah.
And it's a laceration. There's tendon. There's blood. And I mean a lot of blood and a lot of swelling. And you know, if it were somebody else, they might have stopped that. There might have been serious medical attention, but there wasn't. You know what I mean? He wrapped it with a towel. He took a 10-second break, and he's back out there fighting and rolling around in the dirt. I mean, that's a badass dude. It's legit. I watched it with my own two eyes, you know? So, I mean,
Wow.
As far as that goes, in the right setting, I think, yeah. And I think that it was great for those two to do it in that setting, because you can't have WrestleMania with AJ Styles and The Undertaker in an empty performance center. That's a match that deserves the crowd reaction that it would get. It's, you know, I said that at Slammiversary too. Like,
Yeah.
as much fun as Slammiversary was, and as great as it was, and as cool as it was, and how I really think that it was a big shot in the arm, like the only thing missing were, like, you know, when that Motor City Machine Guns graphic showed up at the beginning of that pay-per-view, that would have been a hell of a pop. And it's a shame. I told those guys, it's a shame you didn't get that pop. So it'll be fun when the world opens up again to feel those reactions and stuff. So I think that, you know, the Boneyard match was them doing the best they could do with what we had as a resource at the time. So creatively, it was where to go, and it was what to do. But I think that to do that match, I think that probably AJ would like to give Taker that match with a big crowd and a big reaction. So I know that.
Fair enough. Well, you guys are at Impact Wrestling right now, and you talked about how there's still in your contract, it's carved out. It's what it sounds like, that you guys are going to be able to do New Japan stuff. Have you guys signed officially with New Japan yet as well, or no? Is it still waiting on the contract?
I'll say we've agreed to terms. I guess that'd be the best way to put it.
Okay.
But there's no way to put a schedule together. There's no way to truly put a pen to paper or anything until, you know, because right now, if there's one flight a week to Japan or something, I heard, and if you get there, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And then if you come back, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So if we go to a show, we're out a month of our lives, and I don't see where it's going to be beneficial for either party. So we're just excited for, hopefully, as in every venture in the world right now, that this stuff will start to decline, and we can kind of get back to some normalcy, because we're definitely itching to go back to New Japan.
Yeah, because I didn't know if you guys could do the New Japan America shows, because I know that they've been filming some stuff on the East Coast. Could you do that and Impact, or does that?
I think we're going to concentrate more on the shows that are actually in Japan, but like that's a detail that we haven't even really crossed that bridge yet.
Sure.
But I mean, personally, I think it'd be important to re-debut in Japan, in country, and then figure out what we can do here stateside. You know, give me a big Osaka, or even, man, so many great places over there, Sumo Hall, so many great buildings where we could, you know, it goes back to the reaction that I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes. I think it would be really cool.
Yeah.
For the fans, for us, for the company, for everybody involved.
And with that, is it a given when you're back at New Japan? I mean, are you Bullet Club? I mean, what's going to happen here?
Only time will tell. You got to watch and see. The landscape has changed multiple times in the, 4.5, 5 years since we've been gone. And, people have stepped up, people have stepped forward, new stars have emerged. And then you still have those battle hard veterans that are there, some of the toughest guys in the entire business who've done that schedule, those Japanese guys from the time they were young boys all the way through, and night in and night out, and performing at a high athletic level and taking risks. I have all the respect in the world for those performers, for sure.
Yeah, and what do you think of the new leader of Bullet Club, Evil?
I'll tell you honestly, it was a surprise. I didn't know that was coming.
Okay.
But what an opportunity. What a hell of a chance to step up and step out and say, I'm the guy. That's what wrestling's made on. It's cool. It's a great feeling. It's reminded me of us stepping into Impact a little bit, it might not have been the move that everybody expected right out of the gate, but it's an exciting time, and you want to put it on your back and see what you can do with it, and really show, who you are as a performer and as a character and all those things. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for him. I mean, I remember, him basically being a young boy and us working with him in the States and working with him a little bit in Japan. So to see that in a few short years, that transformation, and to really go up to the next level. And I mean, Gato's one of the smartest bookers that there are. So there's a reason for everything that takes place. And I think that if he thinks it's a good decision, it probably is.
Okay, fair enough. And, like you say, it kind of surprised people when you wound up in Impact Wrestling. Maybe not the first decision everyone would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have talked about how in 2019, there was the potential there for you to go to AEW, but then you took the money and stayed with WWE, all that. But this time around, when you were released, were there return talks with AEW, or was that just not even an option?
It wasn't necessarily that there weren't a lot of talks there, and it was like, we kind of felt like we already didn't take that option. Maybe that option won't be available again. So there wasn't a lot of back and forth other than like friendly talk. We never said, hey, is there a spot for us? And they never really said that either, but we're in constant communication with the Bucks every day because they're our buddies.
Right.
But Scott D'Amore, especially in Impact Wrestling, who Scott's been good to Carl and I both all through our careers, and put together a really nice offer in 2019 as well.
Yeah.
He aggressively, from the moment our release was announced, was on us. And what was so attractive about him and the Impact brand was, like, one, their solid belief in us as a commodity, but two, Scott said, listen, let's do this together. Let's co-promote all this stuff you guys got. You got this hot podcast. You got Talk and Shop. You're running your own pay-per-view, Talkn'ShopAMania. You guys are coming out with a beer. Like, we got another pay-per-view project in the works. All of these things that, like, WWE would never even allow me to do any of that. And if I was getting away with it, I wouldn't be allowed to talk about it. That's their business platform, whatever.
Right.
I don't know how much availability there would have been for stuff like that with AEW, but Scott basically opened his arms and said, everything you guys are doing will help. We'll co-promote. Let's wear each other's hats. And we said, you know what, if somebody is going to offer that to you and afford you that opportunity, then let me wave the Impact flag higher than ever. And that's why a lot of my friends who you'll be seeing showing up there, I was telling them, and Carl was telling them, and we were talking with them and going, hey, this is a place where you can go and really express yourself. They're going to help you with all your outside stuff. And that's an opportunity I've never had in the business before. So it's really cool. I know that they'll be talking TalknShopAMania promotion tonight on the episode of Impact that'll be on Access at 8. So, like, we would have never had that anywhere else, and the opportunity to do that stuff. When just like putting my shows on Impact Plus at $7.99, and you have so much content on there.
Yeah.
So to be able to brand build together, that means the world to me, to both of us. So it's really cool.
Now, I look at what happened at Slammiversary. It's you guys, it's Eric Young, it's Heath Slater. A lot of talent became available at once, and we're finally seeing where they're landing. In retrospect, do you think that WWE might look at releasing all the talent they did at once as a misstep? Because, I mean, it does seem like it opens up the door for a lot of other promotions, or I say maybe a few other promotions, to really pick up some value here in Steam like Impact's doing right now.
I don't know. I can't speak for anybody in WWE. I don't understand a lot of what goes on behind the closed doors there, obviously. That's rearview mirror stuff. I got to go there and have a pretty decent run and put some money in the bank and all of that. But man, Impact took a step up and a step out. Slammiversary was huge. It was trending #1 worldwide on Twitter. The internet was lighting up about it. Just a ton of buzz. I think that it was even more buzz than they had hoped for with the Good Brothers and with everybody else that you just mentioned coming on board, with more surprises potentially coming. It's just a ton of buzz, and I think that it's a good time for them to step up as a brand because they already have a very, very strong roster. I mean, when I was looking at that, talk about tag team wrestling and the whole business is great right now. We're a tag team, but you look at the AEW tag team division is strong, man. It's awesome. But you come over and you look at what we got. We got the North, we got the Rascals, we've got the Motor City Machine Guns coming back. You have us who've been all over the world. The potential for an unhandcuffed Slater and Rhino together. You got a ton of world champions, a mixture of seasoned veterans with young, up-and-coming athletic dudes who can do all kinds of cool stuff. So I think that the matchup potential there is great. I'm going to be watching tonight because I didn't see it. But I'm pumped to watch the North versus the Motor City Machine Guns. That's going to be awesome. That's a dream match,
Does it physically pain you sometimes when you see what the Viking Raiders are doing? And War Machine, I was a huge War Machine fan, and now I'm watching them, gobbling turkey legs and bowling. I mean, does that irk you when you see that kind of stuff?
It used to, but I understand it. I mean, they're a hell of a team. They're a great team. We've had great matches with those guys.
Yeah.
But they're War Machine light. We were Gallows and Anderson light.
Yeah.
It's the PG version. It's the character version. Sometimes in that company, I feel like the people that are making the final decisions don't have as much of a modern touch, especially when they're, tag teams are never a focus there because I don't think they actually believe that tag team wrestling can draw money, which I think has been proven around the world not to be the case.
Yeah.
But, it just is what it is. Those guys are characters. I hope they can make some good money for their families and pay off their houses and do all that stuff that you like to do as a wrestler so you can secure a good future for yourself. But, at the end of those deals, there'll be a place for War Machine to come, and I'd like to stand across the ring from them again. The real War Machine, maybe not the Vikings.
Hell yeah. And speaking of characters, there is somebody on y'all's TalknShopAMania poster that I was a little surprised by. Enzo will be a part of TalknShopAMania. Obviously, there are people that have opinions about Enzo that are not positive.
Yes.
How did you come to the conclusion that it was the right decision to include Enzo Amore as part of TalknShopAMania?
There are no right decisions when it comes to TalknShopAMania. Only wrong.
Okay.
But I think Enzo added something to the show. I think Enzo's very charismatic, very misunderstood. As much as Enzo knows as an entertainer, he probably has a lot to learn about the wrestling business, and we've tried to help him along because he's had some bad follies that I think weren't necessarily his fault. He kind of got thrown into wrestling and doesn't completely understand how a lot of things work.
Okay.
But I think deep down he's a good human being, and I think he's got a good heart, and I don't think he's out to hurt anybody, and he entertains the shit out of me. So
fair enough. All right. Well, last thing I wanted to ask you about, and this is kind of a walk down memory lane here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in your original run with CM Punk, Straight Edge Society. What was that like working with CM Punk? I mean, that was seemingly one of the last big runs he has. He's disappeared from pro wrestling now,
Yeah, I mean, it was good for me. I was 25, 26 years old during that. And, I'm watching a guy who is in the middle of becoming a top draw in the business at that time, a guy who's got a huge footprint in the pro wrestling landscape still to this day, even though he's been, missing from your TV screen for, I don't know, when did he last have a match? 2015, 2014? I don't know.
It was 2014 Royal Rumble, I think, was the last match.
Yeah, so, I mean, 6.5 years ago, whatever. It was good. It was a good experience for me. Punk and I don't talk anymore, but at the time we were really good buddies, and it was a good learning experience because, I was standing ringside, watching him have matches with all the top guys in the business and seeing how they did all that stuff and watching the little things. And, he was a great promo too. Learning to relax and talk on a microphone. I definitely got, a lot of that from standing there watching him. So it's kind of like getting paid to go to college.
Okay, well, I mean, that's true, and I guess since you guys aren't so close, you wouldn't have an opinion on whether or not you think Punk would ever join the rest of the free agents and pop up in some cool place right now.
I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you're a promoter too. You never picked up the phone and be like, hey, it'd be great for Larry Otto Pro Wrestling? CM Punk comes back.
Once we work on our budget a little bit, we're going to do our best. But no, we got a lot of great people coming into Larry Otto Pro. That's another thing, just to put over Impact Wrestling one more time and the relationship that Scott's given us. That's another cool thing because I'm going to have access to a roster of talent that I've been able to have all on one show before. And we're going to be able to create some great matchups and do some really fun, hard-hitting, old-school professional wrestling mixed in with some of the new high-flying stuff that I can't do. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Doc, thank you very much for the time. Is there anything else that you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up the interview today?
Talkn'ShopAMania, August 1st, 2020, live on pay-per-view, whatever pay-per-view providers you use here in the Americas or Canada. It will be available. It's available worldwide on Fight TV for the low price of $14.95. It's TVMA. So put the kiddies to bed, crack a beer, take off your pants, watch the worst pay-per-view ever. Watch Impact on Access Tuesday nights, 8 p.m., the new home of the Good Brothers, one of the strongest rosters in all of professional wrestling. For all your merchandise needs, go to gallowsandanderson.com or collarandelbowbrand.com, promo code HOOT.